I came across a very peculiar article, and it's a very interesting article popping up now against the backdrop of the war between the United States and Iran. The article headline says U.S. military is quietly guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz, and then they have a byline. U.S. Central Command has helped around 70 commercial ships pass through the strait in the last 3 weeks, an official said. So, to be honest, I didn't read the rest of this article, and I really didn't need to because the title, the headline, tells you everything you need to gather from what the New York Times is trying to tell you. This is an obvious misdirect. But the real question is, who's trying to give us the runaround and who is trying to do the misdirection? You're watching Simulacra. My name is Bryson, and today we are talking about how essentially the entire mainstream media landscape, it's not, I'm not saying anything new, but the entire media mainstream landscape, and you can see by the article that we will be talking about today, is centralized and backed by secret agencies, namely letters that start with CIA. Let's get into it. All right, so when I first saw this article, I was like, this is the weirdest shit ever. What this article is so weird. The title, first of all, the title sounds like some Hollywood movie, and we'll get into that later of why the title sounds like a Hollywood movie. But to understand this article and the headline, you have to understand the broader context of the war. And so this war has been ongoing since February, right? The U.S. and the Iran war, it has flared up again. Today, a Kuwait airport was bombed. And so this thing is in full motion again. It's in full swing. There's no ceasefire. We were just in a ceasefire, but we know when when you put forward a ceasefire with the United States or Israel, it's not actually a ceasefire. A ceasefire means you cease to fire and we keep bombing you. That means you cease to fire and we'll keep blowing up all of your civilian infrastructure. That's what that means. So this is interesting because we're at an interesting point. This all comes after Iran has decisively been winning this war up until this point using asymmetric warfare. And asymmetric warfare is the idea that when two opposing militaries have differing capabilities, they're not equal in their capabilities. Say one military has more money or more planes or more supplies, more resources, more nurses, whatever the case is. The sides are not equal. The lower capability country or military has to find ways to use unconventional operations to take advantage of opponent weaknesses while also circumventing the strengths of the opponent. So, for instance, in this war with Iran, Iran doesn't have the U.S. reserve currency or the global reserve currency. They don't have the U.S. dollar. And so we just can't print money to oblivion to pay for this war. So we're going to have to start making the $50,000 drones that are taking out the, multi-million dollar THAAD systems and missile defense systems. And so that's an example of asymmetric warfare. Another example of asymmetric warfare was, again, during the Vietnam War. I say again because it's another instance of the U.S., even though being the empire and having all the big guns and all the money, have no idea how to fight a war and haven't really won a war in a very long time by themselves. In the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong used unconventional operations to really outlast the U.S. military right after World War II for 15 years. The Vietnam War, if I'm not mistaken, started in around 1955 and it was over by the early 70s. And so the Viet Cong would use operations or methods like guerrilla warfare tactics. They would use geographical tactics. We know the terrain more than you. We're going to set up a bunch of trap doors. You're walking through the jungles, you fall through trap doors and die. So those are some examples of asymmetric warfare. And so Iran has been winning this war using very good use of strategic asymmetric warfare and game theory. And it's why this ceasefire is complete bullshit. The U.S. wants to completely destroy Iran, wipe it off the map, because it is the biggest opposition to the Levant, and who controls the Levant right now being the country of Israel. And we know that historically, empires look to control the Levant because it's the most strategic point in really the entire world. It's the axis. It's the center of the entire world. It connects you to Egypt. It connects you to West Asia, Afghanistan, Iran, Afghanistan. It connects you to Anatolia with Turkey, and then it connects you to the more, I would say, Middle Europe, not Western Europe, but Middle Europe being Greece and things like that. And so traditionally, historically, that part of the region, West Asia, the Levant, has always been extremely, extremely important to whoever is the global hegemon in the world at the time. In the past, the Persians used the Levant to basically control the region. The Romans also used the Levant to control the region, the Babylonians. And so the U.S. is not doing anything new by essentially using a proxy, not really a proxy, by partnering up with kind of the largest nuisance in West Asia currently to control the entire world. And so this ceasefire is bullshit. The U.S. has no desire to come to peace with Iran for the reason I just laid out. And then also, the U.S. economy needs war to keep going. We went through a couple of videos a few videos ago. Actually, I think it might be being posted this week, either next week. But we went through the entire global economy, how it's made up, who are the game masters, how the U.S. prints money, and how we need everybody to get in on this Ponzi scheme so the Ponzi scheme can keep going. And a part of that Ponzi scheme is the military-industrial complex. So we need this war with Iran. The United States needs this war with Iran to continue to literally just function. If we're not in war, if the country's not in war, it's going to collapse. And so the ceasefire was always a red herring. It was always never going to happen. And I think by now, the leaders of Iran know this. They have constantly been attacked during negotiations. They've been attacked after ceasefire. Israel has attacked Lebanon and other countries after ceasefires. And so ceasefires don't really matter to the Israelis and the United States. But that's where this article is very weird. So if we go back to the article, and I'm not going to pull it back up on my screen because the New York Times is NPC brain mush. The U.S. military is quietly guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command has helped around 70 commercial ships pass through the strait in the last 3 weeks, an official said. Who believes this? Like the CIA, and this is where I'm going to get into my rant. The CIA really likes Hollywood-style operations and missions. Like, they really think a few months ago, or it might have been 2 months, a month and a half ago, very early into the Iran war, there was that fighter pilot that apparently crash landed in Iran, and he was able to trek a 200-mile trek through the mountains in Iran to an evacuation point. And somehow the U.S. government was also able to build an airstrip at that extraction point to land. They didn't just land one helicopter and get them out. Like, they didn't land one just stealth, super quick helicopter. They like brought in a whole fleet to like land on the airstrip and get this one dude. And why do we care about this one dude? But you have to understand the CIA, the US military, Hollywood, they all work together because a major part of propaganda and having an imperium is the media. You need shit like this. You need shit headlines like the US military is quietly guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz for people to believe that the empire can just do whatever they want. It's all powerful, it's omniscient, it's all knowing, it can see everything, it's omnipresent. It's the empire. We can do whatever. Don't believe this. The strait is closed. And Iran is collecting tolls. It's really not a toll. It's really a reparation fee. It's really just, this is our part of the world, and we're going to control this like it has historically been for not all of human history, but a vast part of human history where the Persian Empire was at its height. Y'all aren't controlling this. So if you see anything about someone telling you that the Strait of Hormuz is open, they're lying to you. That's not happening. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Iran is collecting payments in cryptocurrencies. And I also saw another article I might talk about the other day, which I saw a lot of people on Twitter. I don't know if they were trolling or not, but they were talking about, I'm not going to actually, the main person I saw talk about it, love the guy. I'm not going to, because been watching for years. But a lot of people have talked about, well, the U.S. government was able to steal $1 billion of Iran's crypto. And while that might be correct, that doesn't mean they stole their Bitcoin. If their Bitcoin's in self-custody, remember Bitcoin is different than other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is the only proof of work, decentralized cryptocurrency. If their Bitcoin's in self-storage, no one can steal your Bitcoin. So the U.S. government is not taking any of Iran's Bitcoin that is in self-custody. That's not happening. Iran is collecting these payments to get through the strait if you want, and there's nothing you could do about it. I've read somewhere, don't fact check me on this one, but I've read they've already collected near $500 million to $1 billion in the fees and the tolls. And so all of that money is going to be used to reindustrialize their economy, to rebuild infrastructure that is being destroyed by Israel and the United States. So this is definitely a win. The U.S. military is not controlling the Strait of Hormuz. That is false. Now, the U.S. military does have a blockade outside of the Strait of Hormuz, but the problem with that is that the Arabian Sea, let me look at my Google Maps. It's so hard to guard. How are you going to, let me actually pull this up. Let me show you. Let me show all of you what I'm talking about, so you know why this is BS when people say it on whatever media you're watching. All right, cool. Strait of Hormuz is down here. We got it. You see all that? Cool. The Arabian Sea is right here. You're not blockading this entire, you're not blockading the Arabian Sea. That's not happening. This is such a massive channel and body of water that ships flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz down here are easily able to go around any blockade that the U.S. has. So that's not happening. It's just not happening at all. The media, mainstream media, pretty much all of mainstream media, if you're watching media on a TV and it comes on cable, then you're cooked. I'm gonna be honest. You're completely cooked. You're cooked. Media is just real life hallucination. That's what the CIA is doing. They're using the media to drum up these fantastical operations and missions and shit that could go into the next Olympus Has Fallen movie. But none of that is happening. But you have to understand that is the point. The point is for real life and media to intertwine. That's the simulacrum. That's what is talked about in John Baudrillard's book. I hope I didn't butcher his name. His book, Simulacrum, from 1981, he mentions Apocalypse Now and the Vietnam War, and how that war being broadcast on TV led to this hyper real representation, the simulacra of war. And it diminishes how important and real life devastating war actually is, because you're watching it on a TV. You're watching it on Netflix. Not Netflix. Let me not shout out Netflix. But you're watching it on, maybe not shout out Netflix. I'm gonna edit that out actually. You're watching it on the TV. It's not real when you watch it on TV, right? Especially when in real life they're trying to act out these fantastical operations that they then go and make movies about. Or they'll have the movie out and they'll try to do an operation based off the movie. Like the dude 2 months ago that is on a 200-mile trek in the mountains to a evacuation point that has an airstrip in the middle of Iran. I think it makes me so mad because I just don't like being pissed on and then being told it's rain. Like, piss on me. Piss. Oh, that's crazy. But tell me it's rain if it's going to happen. Oh, hell no. All right. And that gets me to my last point. All legacy media is filtered by the CIA and the NSA, but most of the CIA. It's all filtered. Anything you're watching on mainstream media is filtered. Any article you read talking about, oh yeah, the Strait of Hormuz is open. The U.S. is quietly guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz like this is like some Tom Clancy movie. It's not happening. It's not happening at all. So I appreciate all of you watching another video from Simulacra. I kind of got a little bit off in this one. I'm Bryson. You're watching another video from Simulacra. Remember to like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'm out. I post videos every week. Make sure you tune in. Bye, everyone.